So, yeah, I'll send you all an email pretty much just summarizing what you need to be covering with the nutrition end of things. Essentially, because nutrition is a complex subject and it's very, what's right for you doesn't mean it's going to work for you, right? So we got to be able to tailor it a little bit more. And the way we can do that is by identifying how your body reacts to different things. And the way you do that is obviously by tracking, by learning how to track your nutrition a little bit more and understand the fundamentals. Essentially, this is what we're trying to cover out here. And I've sort of tried to summarize it as simplified as much as possible within this little workshop. So I'll put a few steps for you to follow with the email I've sent you. Step one, I just send you a simple video that you can figure out. It simply explains the fundamentals of nutrition. Again, with that, all I'm mentioning is the three macronutrients: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, which you need all of them, a certain amount of all of them, to track. We've included the two simple strategies that you can implement, which is either try intermittent fasting, or if you're not, some people it might not work for your lifestyle, right? But you can still adapt it into your lifestyle. But if not, you can still have breakfast and still get the results that you want. Again, just the type of breakfast you have should be slightly different. Instead of the status quo, instead of having things like cornflakes and even oats, remember we've tried oats, right? Again, arguably a healthy food, but in terms of weight loss, it depends where you are at in terms of weight loss, right? If you have 10% or more body fat that you want to lose, then it tends to not be as effective, if you will. Yeah. If you're on the lower, if you have less body fat to lose, then it might be slightly different case. So this is what I meant. It's different to everybody when you eat and when not. So I've sent you that little video. If you haven't tried intermittent fasting before, it's very simple. I've included a whole bunch of information on how to do intermittent fasting. There's different types of intermittent fasting you can do. Some of you have already done it. The one that I recommend is a 16 to 18 hour fast. Fast for 18 hours, 16 hours, eat for 8 hours. Works like a charm. It's like these guys will tell you. Again, with that as well, if you've never done it before, you can simply break it down a little bit. Rather than going straight into 16 hours, start by, for example, every time you sleep, you fast technically, right? So you fast for about 8 to 10 hours in between meals and eating. So just skip that to 12 hours, 1 week, 14 hours, like that you can keep working your way up. And if you've done 16 hours, then you can try to make it to 18 hours as well. Yeah, what I found with most clients is that 16 to 18 hours, between 16 and 18 hours actually really works. And the reason why I recommend it is so simple. Yeah, there's a lot of different strategies you can implement. Intermittent fasting is one of the simplest ones that you can do, because there's only two things you gotta remember: eat between this time, don't eat between this time, right? And also you can easily implement that into your lifestyle, especially if you have a busy lifestyle where you tend to travel or you have a lot of birthdays or events, whatnot. You can simply do that. Say you have a big weekend, you could do that the week before. Yeah, you could implement it in 3 to 4 days before or 1 week before, and then you could still have a big weekend, right? Or even afterwards. Yeah, it's simply not looking at it from 1 week's perspective. You can look at it from 2 weeks' perspective, 1 month's perspective, because your body, you can still adapt into it like that. You can still create the deficit as much as possible. And I'm also, in terms of what to eat, I've simply included again what information you eat. All your meals should be protein based, including your snacks, right? As you already know. So here, step one. Going back to this, step one is watch the fundamentals of nutrition video. You'll get to hear my beautiful voice for about 20 minutes. Step two is download MyFitnessPal app if you haven't already downloaded it. Make yourself an account and create say your goals in there. And with your goals, if you go to the settings section and you say your goals, you don't want to be setting too high of a goal. So ideally maybe 1.5 to 2 pounds per week. That would be a good attainable goal. Because you can lose more than that, but if you lose more than that, the chances of you losing muscle is a lot higher, right? We want to make sure this is sustainable and on the long term, and we lose as little as muscle as possible. Because when your body loses weight, it's smart, but not that smart. It's just going to keep losing weight, right? So that's why the nutrition has to go hand in hand with the training. The training that we do is to build muscle, right? The training we do is to build muscle. So as a result of that, the body starts metabolizing body fat. Yeah, when you create that deficit with the nutrition. So the two has to go hand in hand. Yeah. So yes, you want to make that. And then you'll also see, if you go to the settings section, there's different ratios of how much protein to eat per day, how much fats to eat, how much carbohydrates to eat. So this again depends on your lifestyle. There's a lot of different ratios that you can have. If you go to different nutrition experts, they'll tell you you have to stick to this ratio, you have to stick to this ratio, whatnot. But I've spoken to a lot of these different experts, and from my own experience as well, you can play around these different ratios. You can have one ratio 1 week, another ratio 1 week, which we've done over the last 6 weeks. If you've been part of that 6-week mini cut, we do it. You see, all different ratios technically work. You can change it around like that, and that's where the key to the success is learning how to adapt over the course of time into different and listening to your body. For example, by tracking your measurements, you can see, okay, this week my body seems to be hitting a bit more of a plateau. Or over the last 3 measurements, my body seems to be hitting a bit of a plateau, which means I need to make a slight adjustment on the tracking software. Yeah. So you'll start to learn these little changes, these little tweaks that you can do. Yeah. And it's not as complicated as I'm making it sound. It's actually quite simple. It's just learning how to, over the course of time, to learn how to make small tweaks and play around it. Yeah. By trialing and error. Which is why these things take time to get long-term results. Yeah. To get short results, quick results, it's not hard at all. We can do any sort of diet, but to get those long-lasting results, that's the difference. Yeah. If you look at all those celebrities that you'll see on the magazines or whatever, yeah. If you see how they're prepared for a movie, there's no magic. They've just simply tracked their nutrition. Or they've paid someone thousands of pounds to track their macros for them. That's the simplest process. So yeah, in terms of, if you go to your settings, you'll see different types of macro ratios. When you start out, I think MyFitnessPal normally does like 20, 30 fat and 50, right? So 20% protein, what else? 30 fat and 50 carbs, right? Which is not a bad place to start. Yeah, it's not a bad place to start. But obviously, if your goal is to get leaner and tone up, I would slightly change that over the course of time. Yeah. So you can by all means stick to this. Yeah. Especially if you're already eating pretty much a high carbohydrate diet. For example, if you're eating a lot of rice, a lot of bread, for instance. Yeah. So you can stick to something like that, and then maybe after 2 weeks or so. Yeah, depending on how your results are going. If your results are going really well already, stick to that. By all means, you don't have to change it. But depending on your results go, for example, if you lost weight and you haven't put as much muscle, if you lost weight and you haven't lost body fat, that means your protein needs to go higher. So then you can obviously increase that to 25, 50, for example. Yeah. Or you can again over the course of time, again you can change that to 30, this is where maths genius is going to come into play, 20, and then you can change that to 50. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you can change it around, yeah? Or you can see what I'm mostly doing, I'm constantly increasing my protein, then I'm going to play around with the fats and proteins there. So there's a lot of different ways of playing around that, but over the course of the next few weeks, you can always come to me before the end of the sessions, or email me, whatever, take a screenshot of your settings, send it to me, and I can always give you feedback based on what we see with the tracking software. So for example, when you do like a 6-week mini cut, yeah, you can easily make these changes, right? Like Jamie, you've seen like significant changes over the course of the last 6 weeks. Same with you as well. So, and you as well, isn't it? We've seen, yeah, so it works like a charm. Yeah?
Last week. Yeah.
So yeah, going back to your workshop, yeah. So the first step, watch the fundamentals of nutrition. Second step, download MyFitnessPal, start tracking. What you want to be doing is, if you haven't done it already, is a good place to start is to figure out where your body is at in terms of nutrition. So you want to be, maybe track your nutrition for a week's worth. You just got a food diary in it, simply track down what you're eating for a week's worth. Yeah. All it takes is 2 minutes, right? You guys track almost every single, right? Am I right? So how long does it normally take?
Minute.
A minute.
Once you do it, once you've done it constantly and you've got repeat meals.
Exactly.
Just pre-programmed. You can just
Exactly.
click
Exactly,
pre and
yeah.
then just do it all for you.
Exactly, yeah. So more or less, if you're already eating, which is what the whole point of what we're doing today is to create like a regular meal plan that you can have, which so you can recur the meals that you're eating as well. Yeah.
You actually put yours in before. I do. I can put it in before I eat it, and then
Absolutely,
and
which
then
is the right thing to do.
and then alter it so that it fits the
Yeah.
thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the key to long-term results is preparation. Right? All we're doing is a chess game with your body. That's all it is. Your body is very smart. It does not want to lose weight. It's constantly thinking it's preparing for an apocalypse. So it's trying to survive. It's trying to preserve as much body fat as possible. So what we need to do is provide as much as nutrition as possible and still create this healthy deficit. Yeah. So the biggest mistake I find with most people is we tend to undereat. And as a result of that, your body goes into starvation mode and it's preserving more body fat. Yeah. Because it's constantly preparing for this world end. So you gotta be able to provide. That's why tracking software, it makes your life a lot easier. You know, before you'd have to do this all manually. You can imagine how much harder it would be. But now with something like this, there's a lot of different softwares. This is the one that people use mostly, which is why I'm using that as an example. So just using the software, once you input for a week, you'll notice, wow, I actually don't eat nearly as much as I'm supposed to eat. Yeah. So what you need to do is start working towards getting close as possible to the targets that it sets you up to. Especially with your protein, you need to make sure you get those protein targets right. Yeah, with some of the guys that we've done, you can see like if you don't hit the protein after a couple of weeks, especially with the high demand of workouts that we do, your body's craving for proteins. Your body's made out of proteins, which is why we have to provide it more proteins. Because with the training, essentially what we're doing is we're tearing the muscle fibers apart, which is why you're sore. Right? You're sore, we've injured it. So what happens is when you're resting, which is why the rest is just important. When you're resting, your body is trying to heal that wound, if you will. And to heal that wound, what it needs is protein. Yeah. And as it's healing that wound, guess what? That muscle fiber that was this long, it's a little bit longer. In other words, your muscles are expanding. And we're talking, micro, very, very small reach, which is why it takes a long time to build muscle. And every little thing that we do in terms of training has an effect of it. Yeah. So that's why the nutrition has to be on point, so especially in terms of protein. Anyway, so in terms of tracking, I'll be giving you more information as well in terms of tracking to help you out in different ways and staying prepared ahead of time. Yeah. So to add to that, like I said, it's a chess game with your body, and just like in chess, it's learning to be ahead of the game is what makes you win, right? It's the same thing with this. So the more we're aware of what's going on with the body, and the more we can trick the body, the more we can have chances of winning. Which is why you need to be prepared ahead. Which is why in terms of when you're tracking, ideally you want to be making sure you input your nutrition for the whole week at the start of the week. If you try to do this on the go, I can tell you right now, it's not going to work. Yeah, because when you're on the go, every single one of our lives is busy. We got so much stuff to do. It's only a matter of time. I don't have a minute to start tracking my nutrition, right? And also, if you have something that you're already going to know what you're going to eat for the next 7 days, it makes life so much easier, right? And it will also make you binge eat, all those emotional stress eating, because you know that's my meal to eat. I already have that, yeah? And again, to add on to that, what you also want to have is like immersion food. When you know you're stressed out, when you know you have a busy day, you want to have something ready to eat, like something that you actually enjoy, for example. That will still fit into your macros, if you will, yeah? So it's just learning those little tricks to work against your own weaknesses that will make you make sure you get the results. Anyway, step 3 is to fill out this nutrition online worksheet that I've given you. Yeah, it's quite a long form. It might take you 5-10 minutes to fill out. Again, with this form is simply to help you to identify, for example, what your next 6 weeks is going to look like. Yeah, you don't have to do it for 6 weeks. I've done a 6 week, assuming you're doing like a 6-week mini cut. Like every 6 weeks, you do this little mini cut to help you stay focused. Right? 6 weeks is a good time to stay focused. If you want to do it for 2 weeks, go for it. You can assume that 6 weeks is 2 weeks. If you want to do it for 3 weeks, yeah. Whatever helps you stay focused, yeah. So you can simply look at what your next 6 weeks is going to look like in your calendar. You can see if you're going to have any birthdays, if you're going to be going out, if you're going to have any big events, if you're going to go on holiday. And simply write down, for example, I'm going to have these days, and I've written there how can you work around these days, or what do you have to do to prepare for these days. Yeah, this is all based on how serious you are on achieving the results that you want to get, right? If you want to play by ear, by all means you can do, yeah. But again, it's learning. If you can simply try to figure out, okay, this is what my next few weeks is going to look like. This is what I'm going to do to work around it. It's going to make you that extra bit of difference. And it's going to make sure that we don't constantly go up and down. It's going to make sure we constantly go on the right direction. So fill out that nutrition sheet. Again, that nutrition needs to help you also figure out your own meal plan structure. So I've given you, for example, write down your high protein meal 1. Yeah, this could be your breakfast. This could be, if you're doing intermittent fasting, this could be your lunch. Your high protein meal 2. Your high protein meal 3, yeah. And if you want to have alternate meals for different days, you can simply have 2 different options. You don't have to have the same meal, yeah. But you can, if you can write down, okay, this is my go-to meal. At this time of the day, this is my go-to meal. This time of the day, and this is my go-to meal at this time of the day. Then you know there's no fluffing around. You know when it comes to this day, what you're going to eat already, yeah. And then that's going to make you prepare a little bit more towards that meal, which you can again. You can input in something like your MyFitnessPal, and all you gotta do is record that meal instead of having to input it every single time. You know exactly how much you have to eat and what to eat. So also to help you out with this nutrition worksheet, I've added a bunch of resource steps. For example, a list of animal protein sources if you eat animal meat, a list of vegetarian protein sources if you eat plant-based, a list of protein snacks that you want to be adding. And again, you can have a variety of this to help you mix up. Variety is always more important as well. And also a little article on lowering carbohydrate intakes, which I've taken from some of Shane's top tips. And I've also added a whole bunch of example meal plans with different calorific needs. This is again to help you structure your meal plans. So I've added a 7-day meal plan for 2,000 calories. For 8,800, 600, 400, and etc. So I've added quite a variety of them. You don't have to stick to them by that's simply to give you ideas of how you can use different meal plans and different recipe ideas to add on to your own meal structure. Yeah, and how a 7-day meal plan looks like, for example. I've also added a recipe book which got a whole bunch of different high protein recipes and whatnot. Again, to give you more variety. One of the things we tend to get, especially with the meal plan, is you get bored. I get bored very fast with the meal plan, which is another reason we tend to go off. We don't tend to follow it. So if you have something like different meal plan examples, different recipes, you can play around, right? Again, nowadays there's so many different recipe options. If you just type on Google high protein snack or high protein dinner, you're gonna get a lot of different options. Yeah, but some people still don't look. Yeah, but now I've given you all the resources. You just have to look through this one email. If you ever get lost, if you ever fall off the wagon, all you gotta do is just go to refer to this email and you can start right over from there at any point. I've also put together a little video series. Yeah, a little video series just recapping some of the things we've already gone through, but also some new things. I'm going to be adding a lot more different things. For example, if one of you comes to me and says, I've got this issue, how do I figure it out? Once answered, I also might make a little video. Well, I'll add on to that. Yeah. So you'll have a lot of different topics to be covered, because this nutrition, as I mentioned, is a complex subject. There's a lot more than the basics. So, but without trying to overwhelm you overload you with too much information, I've added this for your own reference. So you can always go to in terms of other nutrition topics. Anyway, step 4 is to print out a copy of this meal plan template. I've included a 7-day meal plan template for you guys, and again, this is again to help you stay ahead of the game and pre-plan it. So if you just simply download this 7-day meal plan, you can, using the worksheet that I've sent you, you can input your meals for the next 7 days or the next 6 weeks, for instance, yeah? And just simply write it down. Again, it will take you 2 minutes because you already know what your meals are according to MyFitnessPal. And this you can put it in your fridge, right? So this is a huge step. Like in my house, this works a lot like it's because everybody in my house knows what I'm going to eat. Yeah? And same goes for my partner. She has the whole thing. So if you can get your partner involved, makes a lot. If you can get your family involved, makes a lot easier because you're going to work as a team. So for example, in my house, everybody knows this is what I'm going to eat. They're going to not try to disturb my ingredients or my meal plans. I think more or less, after a while, what happens is you also blend in. You don't have like separate meals. If you can have the same meals, if the whole family can, for example, eat a high protein diet, which technically we should all do, that would makes life easier, right? So if you have this little meal plan structure, then everybody knows where you're at, and you know where you're at. So if you're lost, if you start saying it's in the evening, if it's like 8 in the evening, you're like, oh, what am I going to eat? You've had a long day, all you got to do is look there, right? It's just those little things, those little visual things, because we tend to go to the kitchen. I don't know about you, in the evening I tend to go to the kitchen, I just scavenge for different things. We've all been there, right? But then by having that sort of thing, even while scavenging, I look at it, and that's enough to stop me. That's enough to stop me, like, oh, actually, I'm good. Yeah, let me just have a glass of water, and let me just open the fridge and eat the right meal. It's just those little things. It's just those little things like that makes a big difference. And that 7-day meal plan, you can you have that template to keep changing it, right? So what you also notice after a week, you be like, I actually don't like this meal structure. Let me change it around. All you gotta do is download it again and just restructure it. Yeah. So you can keep modifying your own little meal plan structure, and that makes a big difference. And then so step 5. Yeah, so step 5 is simply to fill out that template, and then step 6 is using the template also write down a little list of groceries that you want to eat. Yeah, another biggest objection I get is I've got the meal plan, but I've run out of the ingredients. I'm going to start again next week. Too late. Yeah, you want to be ahead of. You want to be pre-planned. So if you already know what you're going to eat for the next 6 weeks, yeah, all you got to do is write down a list. Just look at your meal plan. What do I need for this? What do I need for that? Write down a list of ingredients you need to eat in your phone, on your notes, wherever where it helps, and make sure you have the groceries always in your house. For example, in my house, I have 7 days worth of dry roasted peanuts, 7 days worth of apples, 7 days worth of tin mackerels. Like that. I always make sure there's every single day there's influx of plenty of ingredients there. That way, when I'm lost or when I'm during the week from I don't know about, I've got no excuse. I've got all the ingredients I need. I don't have to go to the fish and chip shop down the road to help treat myself. I've got everything I need for that. So yeah, that also makes all the difference. And again, your family, if your partner's doing the shopping or whatever, all you gotta do is give them a list of the ingredients, and they know exactly what to buy, right? Makes life easier. And then they can include those ingredients into their own meals as well. That would help them make their own meal plan. I've also included further resources. Again, these are some of the videos. Alcohol and weight loss. Alcohol is a huge subject already. But it doesn't mean you can't have alcohol. If you are having alcohol, usually things like white alcohol or whatnot, we included different examples of what to have. Sleep and weight loss. We've gone through. It's a big subject. If your sleep is not in good quality, you need to make sure you work on your sleep. Yeah, especially cortisol. It all sticks here. If you haven't got enough sleep, your body goes through stress. It releases too much stress hormone, which is called cortisol. All sits in your waistline. Yeah. So you want to have a nice lean waist. Sleep, not just for that, but just in general health. Yeah. So you got to work on your sleep. So to improve sleep, things like that supplementation definitely helps. We've worked on magnesium, for example, zinc. Makes a big difference. Yeah. Again, if you watch that video, I've included, for example, what type of things you need to get for that. Sugar and weight loss, big difference, big subject. When it comes to sugar, of course, you want to avoid refined sugar as much as possible. But let's face it, at one point or another, we are going to have refined sugar. It's inevitable, right? Anything you're going to eat in a package is refined sugar, technically. So when it comes to that, what simple guidelines I've given is simply look at the back of the pack. Look per 100 grams. Yeah. Avoid whatever every food by law they have to have per 100 grams how much sugar it has and per half pack or per serving. Always avoid what it says on the serving. That's how they work around. That's how they get to you. Yeah, if you look at the front of the pack, like, oh, it's low sugar or only this much sugar per serving. That's how they fool a lot of majority of people. Simply turn the pack, look per 100 grams how much it has. And if you go if you look down, it will say carbohydrates of which how much sugar. Of which how much sugar you should always be less than 10 grams. Yeah? If it's less than 10 grams, then you get the go-to to have it. You can have it. If it's over 10 grams, simply find a different option. There's plenty of different options like that. Yeah? Technically, even 10 grams is high, but it's very hard to find anything lower than 5 grams. 5 grams is technically right, but if I tell you that, you're not going to follow what I say. It just makes life that extra hard. You are going to have sugar as long as you can reduce how much sugar you have, especially for a week, it makes life easier. Okay, so just to finish off, essentially that's what it is. Also intermittent fasting, your relationship with food, that's an important one to watch as well. Especially weekends. Weekends we tend to have off. As I spoke to some of you guys, a lot of people come back to me and say, I've had a terrible weekend. I ask why. I've eaten too much. I've had a barbecue or whatever. That doesn't sound like you've had a bad weekend. That sounds like you've had a good weekend, right? You are going to have those weekends. You're going to have time with the kids and whatnot. So you are going to go off your plan, yeah, at one point or another. That's not a sign for you to go off the rail and say you're falling off the wagon. That's simply saying you're living a life. So all you're going to do is simply just because you have one of those, that's fine. Just identify, I've had this day, tomorrow I'm right back on track. You already have everything you need to go right back on track. You've got your meal plan, you've got your structure, you've got your goals, you've got everything to go right back on track. Yeah? So it's just because you've had a day where you had a birthday, you've had all sorts of things that put you off track, a day that you couldn't track your macros. It's not the end of the world. Tomorrow you start right back on track. And that's what makes the difference. Yeah? There's a lot of different things like that you want to make sure. Yeah, essentially that's the recap. How's that? Not too bad? Any questions based on that? Yeah, we just have to get, So if you
And
take
3 litres of water, yeah, daily still.
yeah. What you want to have is 2.5 to 4 liters of water. Yeah.
So this difference between cutting calories down from, so you start, say you start at 1800, you drop to 1600, you go down, in this kind of format for cutting fat, not muscle. So essentially your weight can be increasing, but your muscles grow, but your fat content, the percentage of fat, body fat is reducing.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of an under-eater, like I said, so I'll just look when we're sitting there looking at your net calories under goal for the week.
Yeah.
I might have some days where this isn't following what you were just saying, but we're running around saying, I struggle to hit 1300 calories or 1200 calories today, so I might hit 800 calories, 900 calories. I'm not a massive eater. I've never required a big intake of food. I don't sleep an awful lot.
Yeah.
So I get between 4 and 5 hours sleep a night.
Yeah.
So those two things
Yeah.
are significantly out of balance with what you're describing. Yet my protein intake's 40%.
Yeah.
We train 5 times a week. On the basis of training your output being greater than your input, that would naturally result in weight loss, would it?
Yeah. Well.
But you're saying it stores the
Yeah, you need to be
That's
consistent. You need to be consistent with trying to get as close as possible to your daily requirements, right?
So are you saying if you hit a day with 800 calories, you can then the following day have an increase?
You could possibly do that as well.
Balance
Yeah.
over a
Yeah.
week.
If you've had a day where you've gone over, you could make up for it the next day. Yeah. But ideally, you still want to. It makes life easier to be consistent throughout that. But let's say so by saying you need to be as close as possible to your daily macro, your daily calorific needs, it's 100 more or less. Yeah, it's not 200 or 300. Yeah, you need to be as close as possible. 10 grams, 5 grams up and down more or less. You don't have to hit it to the dot, but the closer you better. So say you have 200 extra calories, 300 extra calories that you're going to eat. What can you have with this 200? That's like you can make up for it with something that's quite easy to eat. Yogurt, Greek yogurt, ice cream.
Protein yogurts.
You can have something that's high calorie. You can have something like ice cream, like soy ice cream is high in protein, for example. You can make desserts. Yeah, again, if you look at the recipe, like chocolate, right? We make raw chocolate balls. Yeah, very simple. Only takes 5 minutes. Add a bunch of cacao, some protein powder, for example, some nuts, some seeds. Yeah, just mix it up. Yeah, if you want to sweeten it, you can add a bit of agave nectar, a bit of honey, like raw honey. Mix it up. Yeah, turn it into balls. put it in the freezer or fridge. Yeah, right there. That's a high protein snack you can have anytime. So in the evenings as well, for example, when I want to add, and then what you can do is simply make a recipe for that on MyFitnessPal. So that way, every time you have it, you just have to add that. Makes it a lot easier. So, for example, if you have to add extra 200 calories, if you figure out what to have, you can simply have that. You can have some Greek yogurt. There are things that are quite easy to digest. Because I know exactly what you mean. It's very eating more is the biggest challenge people have. Yeah. But you have to be able to eat more. Say you're doing a 6-week mini cut, for example, right? So say you have a holiday in 6 weeks that you want to get in shape for, yeah, and you want to do a 6-week mini cut. You know, that's where, for example, say we have weeks. Let's say week 1, yeah, according to MyFitnessPal, it says you're eating 2,000 calories. It said right, 2,000 calories. So you want to have 2,000 calories on week 1, week 2. Track your nutrition depending on the results go. Then you can break it down to 1,800. So you're cutting down 200 calories. It's a mini cut, right? So you're cutting down your macronutrient, your calories, yeah. So and then week 4, you're cutting down by another 200 calories. Week 6, week 5, like that, you can consistently cut down like 100 or 200 calories each week, like that. And before you know it, you shed a whole lot of body fat. As all 3 of you, I think, have been doing it, right? So you can shed quite a lot of body fat by doing that, yeah. And then at the end of week 6, then you can have like a holiday, like I said, have a holiday from your nutrition. Like we can completely go off. Forget about like what you're eating, what not. Just have a little breather. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Because sometimes it can be consuming depending on how much focus you put it. Simply have a little breather and then start over again if you want. If you want to maintain that. And that way, every 6 weeks, you can constantly keep dropping body fat like that. Yeah. Because again, if you say you have 10-20% body fat to lose, right? It's a long process. It's going to take you 10. That's going to take you 10 to 20 weeks. That's a long time. If you think, oh, I got to stay focused for 20 weeks. That's going to be a bit of a mindfuck, right? So you want to be able to make sure you focus on small goals, like mesocycles, what we call in the fitness world. Small cycles, like every 4 to 6 weeks of how much focus. Because you can't focus on 4 weeks, right? Yeah. So focus on 4 weeks or 6 weeks, have a little breather, and again, like that. And guess what? When you look at it from a 6 months perspective, you lost all that extra body fat of that. And before you know, you're in shape, and then you can easily maintain it. It's a lot easier to maintain.
So if you've got a amount of calories for a day and you calculate that you can make, so I worked out that if I'm not eating on a day, eating a whole Nando's chicken,
yeah,
hits a protein goal for the day.
That's great, yeah.
No? So a whole chicken, so
yeah,
you want a whole chicken.
Yeah.
If you could design yourself a pizza,
yeah,
that had a whole chicken on it,
yeah,
and you ate 1 meal a day,
yeah,
and hit your calories,
yeah,
and it kept you within your fat and your carbohydrates. Because people talk about healthy and non-healthy foods.
Yeah.
Like, so obviously you need green vegetables and fruits and stuff like that in your
we
diet.
need a lot of fiber, yeah.
Fibre.
Yeah.
But if you're weird enough to want to pour 2 or 4 tablespoons of chia seeds over the top of that pizza, is that correct?
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter what.
It doesn't. You can have 1 meal for the day. You can have 2 meals for the day. You can have 3, 4, 5, 6.
Because there's this
List
belief that
goes
you've
on,
got to
right?
have 6 small
No,
meals.
that's all been debunked now. That's old scientific. Yeah, I used to eat 12 meals a day. Yeah, every half an hour, every hour. I used
We
to eat.
tried that and it was torturous.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put weight on.
We put a lot of weight on, but we were eating fish at 5 in the morning and shit.
So that's a very old school mentality. Back in the days, the scientific world was saying you need to eat to put on muscle. You need to eat every 2 hours. You have to constantly feed the muscle and all sorts of stuff. I was living and breathing that. Yeah, I was carrying around those huge backpacks worth of 20 kilos worth of food every single day, toothbrush and everything. I had to brush my teeth every time I was eating. So but I used to do that religiously, 2-3 years. Anyway, now it's all been debunked. Now it doesn't matter if you have 1 meal, 2 meals, or however many meals you want to have. Yeah, as long as you hit your daily macronutrient intake, you're fine. Yeah. So I actually have clients who, according to their lifestyle, they only prefer to eat 1 meal. Yeah, and that's a long form of intermittent fast. They fast for about good 20 hours plus for the day. Yeah, that keeps them sharp as well. You'd be surprised because when you're eating less, intermittent fasting, one of the best things is it gives your stomach rest. Your body is like an engine, right? It's a car engine. I want to keep it short, but I know you have to leave. Your body's like a car engine. So it needs, you know, if you run a car all the time, it needs rest, right? You got to turn that engine off at some point to allow the car rest. Your body is the same. It's an engine. There's so much goes on the whole time, every second. You know, just because you go to sleep, your stomach is not going to sleep. So you need to be able to rest it. Yeah, especially over the years, we've abused it so much. But everything you put in your body has a consequence in it, right? So we need to be able to rest it, and by that, in that rest period, the longer that rest period, the longer the body can start metabolizing body fat as a result of that. Yeah, so that's why things like intermittent fast, especially for the Western world, is really good because it's inevitable. We are going to have.
Well, I find out I end up eating more crap.
which is why the plan.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm like, kids are in bed.
Yeah.
I sat on the sofa, and that's when I'm like, I'm still starving.
Yeah. Which is why the plan would help because especially the worksheet, you have to identify where you go wrong, where you tend to go wrong, and you have to figure out how you're gonna.
The moment
How
I
you
go
fix
the
it.
kids are in bed, I sit on the sofa.
Yeah. So it's just simply learning how to figure out. And another little tip is take your nutrition timing seriously, right? If you say you're gonna eat at this time, make sure you have that's an appointment with yourself that you're gonna eat. Yeah, every single day I have a 2-minute appointment where you write down your macronutrients. So what I tend to do is every Sunday I have a 15-minute appointment with myself where I look at the week ahead. What's each day gonna look like? Yeah, what do I have to eat at this day? Am I gonna be out and about? That means I can't eat the way I normally eat. I need to have something on the go. So it's just those little things. That 15-minute appointment will make your life so much different, so much better. Because you're ahead of the game. When the week starts, when you're in the middle of the week, it's too late. You're gonna fall off the wagon one day, before you know it, 2 days, 3 days. It's gonna keep spiraling, and then before you know it, 3 weeks have gone, and you're like, oh, I put on a bit of body fat. You know what I mean? So and that adds up, right? That keeps constantly up. So it's learning to be ahead of the game by doing that. Yeah. But again, it's learning how to identify your triggers, like where you tend to go wrong. Yeah, where you tend to go wrong, and learning how to fix and finding a solution. Yeah, it's a simple problem. You got to figure out a solution. So that's why that worksheet was to help you figure out. If you're not sure of anything, you can come back. We can have another talk. We will be doing more talks as well. But you can come back and we can figure out. Like for example, something you might be struggling, might be working out for one of the others. We can find a solution.
Is there any of the 3 macro nutrients that could provide more energy for working out? So like, if you're on a higher protein diet, it's repairing the muscle and getting ready for training again.
More or less, they're all energy. These are all energy sources, which is why you need all of them, right?
Yeah.
So different people, they work differently.
It used to be that carbohydrates were the thing that was promoted. You need to have a lot of carbs for your training. So
Yes and no.
That was always a belief, wasn't it? That
It's
eat
down
a
to
lot
the-
of pasta or eat a lot.
But you
of
get these
Yeah.
things on the market which like impact things to have just before starting the session.
Exactly. There's pre-workout meals. There's post-workout meals. There's a lot of.
Some like
We can make it as complicated as you like. Yeah.
Help you to have black coffee before.
Absolutely. I used to drink caveman coffee. I used to have black coffee. It was a shot of black coffee, espresso with butter and coconut. A knob of butter and a knob of coconut oil. Mix it up. It's high fat. It's mid MCT fats, like mid-chain triglyceride fats. You can look it up. Anyway, it gives you a lot of energy, and if you're having it, have it early in the day. So it's going to give you a buzz to quite a long time. But especially if you're doing like a heavy session, for some people it doesn't work. For most people it does. But it will give you so much energy. You'll be very alert.
But that's the way you're fasting, does it? And you train in the morning.
No, it does not. Yeah, no, it does not. When you're fasting, the only thing you can have is black coffee, green tea, herbal teas, and water. You want to be eating a lot of water. A lot of the time in the morning, when you feel that hunger, that feeling you feel in the morning, it's not hungry, it's just thirst. Your body's dehydrated from the night before. So you got to be drinking plenty of water in that morning period. Yeah?
And what is the importance? Because we've been drinking 3 to 4 litres a day of water.
But your body is made out of water, right? 70-80% of your body is water. Yeah, so for all those functions to work properly, you got to be drinking plenty of water. Stay hydrated. If you, a little tip for that. I don't know if this works. I don't know if this works, but I read it somewhere. I was while researching it. If you feel like you're good, if you have to pee a lot throughout the day, I think add a pinch of water to your water bottle. Salt. Add a pinch of salt to your water bottle. Apparently that prevents it. But yeah, coming back to your question, like I said, this is really is dependent on every individual. For some individual, like for my this obviously protein has to be high. That's a given. Every single meal, every single snack, which means that gives you with fats and carbohydrates to play around, right?
Yeah.
So some people function better with high carbs, high fats. Some people function with high carbohydrates. I personally function better with high fats. Yeah. So my food is primarily high protein, high fats, and then carbohydrates is lower. Yeah. It's another way to stay lean as well throughout the year. Yeah. Whereas some people, it's the other way around. They function better with high carbohydrate, high fats. Yeah. How do you figure that out? It's trial and error. You gotta try out a couple of weeks, high fat, see how you feel. Give it some time. You have to give it some time for your body to adapt. Yeah? Just because it's harder for a couple of days, or you don't feel a bit awful a couple of days, doesn't mean your body's just trying to get used to it. Same when you're intermittent fasting. You know, the first week or so might be a little bit challenging, but before you know it, your body adapts very fast. Yeah.
Cool.
The time is, guys, it's
7.
7. You have to get to work. No.
You say there's a video on there for the internet fasting?
Yes, yeah, I've got